chapter 21. They are an overcoming people. Number 3. Okay, let's go ahead and read and we'll work it out. The one who conquers will have this heritage, and I will be his God, and he will be my son. But as for the cowardly, the faithless, the detestable, as for murderers, the sexually immoral, sorcerers, idolaters, and all liars, their portion will be in the lake that burns with fire and sulfur, which is the second death. Now, notice the type of people that it specifically says will not be there. Now, this is after the fact that we're way at the end, but it's a good reminder. Look at are there any words there that you think are strange to be there? Yes. Cowardly. But last night we heard that fear leads to actually hypocrisy because we're worried about what people think. So that might explain why they're not allowed there. The faithless, the detestable, that we understand because we don't like them either. Murderers makes sense, sexually immoral, sorcerers. Yes, because in First Samuel it tells us that witchcraft actually it compares defiance or rebellion with witchcraft, because witchcraft is saying there's another God, another power we're looking to instead of God. Idolaters, that's not adulterers, that's idolaters. Idolaters have idols. So do adulterers, but that they were included in the sexually immoral, so they don't have to be relisted. And all liars, not just white liars or those who tell real big lies. I think that's why they put all there. Oh, the little lies. All liars. So the eternal city is the inheritance of overcomers, of believers. That's your next blank. Eternal city. The eternal city is the inheritance of overcomers or believers, overcoming the enemy, overcoming sin through Jesus. 1 John 5:5 is where we get that. Who is it that overcomes the world except the one who believes that Jesus is the Son of God? We're even told, remember, in the first 3 chapters when we were studying the churches, he said, the one who overcomes will overcome the enemy by the blood of the Lamb and the word of our testimony. So being an overcomer involves being also sharing or telling what God has done for us. So the eternal city is our inheritance, but the lake of fire and the second death, the lake of fire and the second death are the inheritance of those who do not believe. The lake of fire and second death are the inheritance of those who do not believe. It isn't that we need to remember this in dealing with our loved ones who don't know the Lord and people we hate that don't know the Lord either way, is that there isn't a neutral, there isn't a didn't really believe, but don't go to the lake of fire. There's nothing in between. You believe or you don't believe. Okay? And so this is what happens for unbelievers. So those are the citizens of the people, the citizens of the city. They're God's people, they're satisfied people, and they're an overcoming people. The next thing we're going to look at is the character of the city. The character of the city, the New Jerusalem. And this is going to push over a little bit into chapter 22. Then came one of the 7 angels who had the 7 bowls full of the 7 last plagues, and spoke to me, saying, Come, I will show you the bride, the wife of the Lamb. And he carried me away in the Spirit to a great high mountain, and showed me the holy city, Jerusalem, coming down from heaven, having the glory of God, its radiance like a most rare jewel, like a jasper, clear as crystal. So here, interestingly, we see that the bride, the holy city, is not only the bride's home, it sounds like the holy city is also the bride. Really? That's what it sounds like, because it's describing the city and calling it being adorned as the bride. I will show you the bride. And then he says, I'm going to show you the bride, and a city cut shows up. Let me tell you something. The holy city, the church like this, a city is not its building, it's its people. It's not its buildings. When we have an election for the city of Moreno Valley, not one building votes. But we call it the city. The city of Moreno Valley, the city of San Jacinto, city of Paris, city of everybody. Did I cover everybody? Riverside. The city of Riverside. I did say San Jacinto. These cities are people. We are the people of the cities. In the same way, this city being described, this is the bride, it's the people. God's people are the church too. The church isn't a building. The church is the people, just like the city is the people. So the church, as we see in this description, and he describes it, it has the glory of God. So you see this thing, three things. The church has the glory of God, is radiant like a rare jewel, and is clear as crystal. So let's fill in those blanks to kind of understand what it means to have the glory of God. That means we have the presence of God. The presence of God. The church is supposed to have the presence of God. That's the glory of God in the church, is that it has the presence of God in it. And it says the church or the city is radiant like a rare jewel. I believe that's because the church reflects Jesus. We reflect Jesus. The verb would be reflects, because we're talking about singular city, or the church reflects Jesus. That's why we have a light. We don't have a light on our own. Jesus is our light. We reflect his light. We reflect the light of Jesus. Jesus is the light of the world. Let your light so shine that they may see your good works and glorify your Father who is in heaven. We are reflecting to glory to our Father. And finally, it is clear as crystal, nothing dark or hidden. Nothing dark or hidden. This should mean a lot to us right now as Americans, because we're living in a culture where things are hidden. Don't you feel that? We have a hard time discerning what's really true, what we hear, whether it's really true or not. Also, whether that person who's saying something is sincere or not. We have trouble with this because we're being deceived all around us, and we're having trouble. And as people of God, we do not follow that cultural acceptance. We live transparent lives. Again, a little bit of the message last night. We need to live transparent lives in front of our families, in front of your children and grandchildren. That if you make mistakes, you apologize or you ask forgiveness, because that's being transparent. That's being real. That's being truthful. And that's grace and love. We want to live like that. And we want to be transparent people, accountable people, because that's how Jesus is. He didn't have anything hidden. In him, there's no shadow of turning. Nothing, even a little bit off. And we're supposed to reflect that. Here's one of our arrow points. Heaven is real. Heaven is real. It's the perfect home for the Lamb's bride. Heaven is real. It's the perfect home for the Lamb's bride. So that's a general character of the city. But we're going to look now at some of the parts of it. And first thing is the city's walls gates, and foundations. It had a great high wall with 12 gates, and at the gates 12 angels, and on the gates the names of the 12 tribes of the son of Israel were inscribed. On the east 3 gates, on the north 3 gates, on the south 3 gates, and on the west 3 gates. And the wall of the city had 12 foundations, and on them were the 12 names of the 12 apostles of the Lamb. Interesting. So, oh, we got to keep going here on the other side so we can get to the blanks here. The wall was built of jasper, while the city was pure gold like clear glass. The foundations of the wall of the city were adorned with every kind of jewel. The first was jasper, the second sapphire, the third agate, the fourth emerald, the fifth onyx, the sixth carnelian, the seventh chrysolite, the eighth beryl, the ninth topaz, the 10th chrysoprase, the 11th jacinth or jacinth, and the 12th amethyst. And the 12 gates were 12 pearls, each of the gates made of a single pearl. And the street of the city was pure gold, like transparent glass. So we're going to kind of break that down a little bit and look at this. Well, we'll look at some of it. Some of it's transparent, so we'll just look through it. Walls and gates speak of protection and passage. Walls speak of protection. Walls do two things. They keep us in, they keep others out. Both things are important. When walls, protection and passage. I'm talking about protection first. When Nehemiah rebuilt the wall was important because it kept the enemy out, but it was also important because it kept who belonged in. And they dealt a lot in that book of Nehemiah, which is one of the books I'm considering teaching next. And they had to deal with people trying to say they belonged when they didn't belong. They were not God's people. They were trying to infiltrate. And walls protect both ways. Gates speak of passage, of a way in, a way out as needed, with the control of a gate. 12 gates are associated with the 12 tribes of Israel. Every true Israelite had entrance to the New Jerusalem, just as every tribe could enter the earthly Jerusalem. They had a rule. The Jerusalem on earth, they were never to say that one tribe was not welcome. They were all welcome. In the same way, as long as we belong to the Lord, we are his people. We're welcome in his city. We are welcome and included. Because of their faith, we're told, because of their faith, believers are the true Israel. Galatians 3:7 says, "Know then that it is those of faith who are the sons of Abraham." See, Abraham was redeemed not because he was born into a tribe or a group of people, but because he believed. It was counted. He became part of God's family. In the same way, it's our belief that makes us true children of Abraham. Interestingly, each gate is a single pearl. We sometimes think of pearly gates as pearl made out of a bunch of pearls. Have you pictured it that way? With all these pearls lined up? Pearly gates? These gates, it said each gate is a single pearl. Wow, those are big pearls. You see a little illustration there of that's supposed to be a little way through that pearl. And see the gate down at the bottom? The gate is actually, that has a door as the pearl, but it's the gate that's the way through is with the pearl. I gave you, there's like 9 different colors of pearls there. I don't know which one it was. We might envision it the traditional oyster pearl that's off-white. I don't know which one it is. Look at, just thought it was interesting that there's so many colors of pearls. But when we enter the gate, we are to enter through the pearl of great value. pearl of great value, Jesus. He is the way. Matthew 13:45 and 46 is where I got that phrase. That's the parable Jesus told. Again, the kingdom of heaven is like a merchant in search of pearls, who on finding one pearl of great value, went and sold all that he had and bought it. The illustration for us is that the Lord is worth everything else we have. Can I get someone to pass these next page out real quickly? Several of us.